So if you've been dealing with a tight QL and you tried everything from foam rolling, stretching, chiropractor, keeps coming back within a day or two, this video is going to explain exactly why. And the answer is not your QL. It was never your QL. So what I did here, it maps out the full shutdown of the muscle, what caused it to lock up, and the exact order to restart it. So what we're going to do first is probably go over something that you find very common. You stretch it 100 times, it came back every time. So I want you to notice this loop here, okay? So within this loop, you have probably tried foam rolling, pigeon stretch, hip flexor release, lumbar massage, or chiropractor. And what has happened after that is you feel a relief for 24 hours, then the same pain has returned, right? Because the release is the loop that never ends. It's the last muscle standing, your QL. Every time you stretch it, you're releasing the one thing holding your pelvis together while everything else is offline. And let me show you what I mean here. So what the QL actually does. Now, most of you probably think the QL is just a back muscle, which necessarily isn't wrong, but that's not the primary job of it. So look at these arrows I have here, the role of the QL. So you have a lateral stabilizer, a pelvis leveler, and it is the last line of defense. So its job is to keep the pelvis level when one foot is off the ground. A fraction of a second reflexive has to be automatic. The muscle itself was never designed to hold all day. That's a glute med's job, okay? So what happens when the glute med stops doing the job? And this is where the shutdown sequence happens, okay? So what happens here is that the transverse abdominis, the nervous system, stops bracing, okay? So it loses its safety signal for the spine. The glute med goes quiet. Thus, this isn't weakness, it's inhibition. The signal isn't getting through. That's a communication problem, not a strength problem, okay? Now, what then occurs is that the pelvis starts dropping every step, which is now a micro collapse, and the hip drops slightly. You don't always see it happening, but the body detects it every single rep. So the QL locks in permanently. It's not tight. It's just, working nonstop. Doesn't have an off switch because the muscle above it stopped taking its shift, so to speak. So when you stretch it, you get a day of relief. Then the nervous system brings it straight back online because it has to, okay? So what happens here? When the glute med loses its signal, again, the QL is bracing and it takes over 24/7. So why it becomes worse to release the QL in the long term? I like to use the analogy of you're releasing the guard dog while leaving the door open. Okay, the nervous system will not allow you to have a stability muscle to stay relaxed in an unstable environment. So it's not a flexibility problem. The goal isn't to force it to relax. It's to give the nervous system a reason to let it relax, okay? So what you have in your mind right now is symptom logic. So the QL is tight, you want to stretch it, release it, thinking the pain is going to go away, but you're releasing, like I mentioned, the muscle that you think is causing the pain, but you're not understanding the full system, okay? So what is actually happening is system logic, all right? So the system logic is that the glute med went offline. You stretch the QL, it shows instability sensed, and the QL re-engages, okay? So when the nervous system, like I said, won't relax the stability muscle, it is instability, okay? So the relief fades because the instability never changed. The restart works in reverse. So how we do that? The TVA, transverse abdominis, fires first. Reestablish the safety signal. Brace without holding your breath. Deep, internal, low, and wide. Okay? So then the glute med reactivates. Not because you did 100 clamshells or lateral band walks, because the signal got restored. Next, the pelvis stabilizes. The hip drop corrects, and the QL releases naturally. Now it can rest. Not because you stretch it, because it finally has permission to rest. You don't strengthen your way out. You signal your way out. So what I have for you here is 3 quick tests, okay? Can you brace without holding your breath or stopping? does your hip drop on a single leg stand, or after you fire the glute med, does the tightness reduce? Now, those three questions tell you exactly where your sequence has broken down, okay? So back to here, the sequence works bottom up, go to transverse abdominis, glute med, pelvis to the QL release, okay? Now, understanding how to know which part broke first. Now, the single leg stand, you'll notice that your hip drops, your glute med is inhibited. Start at the transverse abdominis. Your QL still tight after your glute med fires, your transverse abdominis signal is still off. 30 seconds, it tells you more than most assessments that you've probably done in the past. Now, what we find here is that most former athletes fail this on the first try. Most very busy individuals fail this on the first try. And it's not because you're weak. It's because the signal was never necessarily restored. Now, if you want me to walk through your specific pattern with you, send me a message, restore, on Instagram, or let's hop on a call and let's book a one-on-one qualification coaching call. Now, that coaching call is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. Really break down what you're going through currently, what you've tried in the past, what is working currently, what's not working, and what you're looking to accomplish in a body that is restored. Last but not least, the QL is really not the problem. So start fixing the reason that it is there. Start fixing the reason that, the analogy I used, you're releasing the guard dog, okay? Everything else follows a pattern. Work in the same pattern. If this clicked, you're going to be able to fix your pain and find your purpose again. Also share it with someone who's been chasing the same stretch for years. And I'm going to see you in the next one.